This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, starting at verse 3, and it reads, "In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened." Verse 4, "And the doors shall be shut in the streets, when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low." Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahushai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahushai, Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahushai, Brakatah Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem Rekha Kodash. Double honors be to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who are the true teachers of Israel today. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, Habayav Madawadah, the house of David. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the listeners, the brothers and sisters that listen and believe on Yahweh Shem Yahushua, the Akim and Akwathim. To you I say Shalom as well. So it's the brother Sakalai coming back with another lesson through the Spirit of the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying to the hopeful elect, to the listeners. So as you can see, this article is going to be the premise of the lesson, and it's from Forbes.com, and it's originally dated July the 6th. But when you read here, just below the picture, the caption says there's a correction. The correction says, "This list was last updated at 10 a.m. on August the 16th, 2020, to change the number of store closures so far in 2020 to 13,262 stores." And, by the math that's been presented, by the actual statistics, which I'll go over a few in this video, that number is even believed to be somewhere near 15,000 stores by the end of the year, because the list, and the names of the stores keep growing. So you see the title, it says more than 13,200 stores are closing in 2020, and this number is surely rising. So I started off in the book of Ecclesiastes 12, because it says, "In the day when the keepers of the house," so this is the time of Jacob's trouble that's approaching, "shall tremble," the keepers of the house, the people that run the stock market, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, etc., the futures market. This is, the people who handle the international trade. And it also goes up, to the elites of the society, the international bankers, the international banking elite, those who, control the economic system and international trade and commerce. So those are the keepers of the house. It says, "And the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few." So work is ceasing because of what? We're seeing that many major retail stores are closing down. And the importance of the retail stores is that when you look it up statistically, 32% of all jobs, in America, which is Babylon, according to the scriptures, 32% of the jobs are retail jobs. So 1/3 of the jobs are actually retail jobs. And these retail jobs are closing at an alarming rate. At the same time, you have anywhere between 40 and 50 million Americans between now and the end of the year are beginning to become evicted. So now we're seeing when it says, "And the grinders cease because they are few," there's no work. The work is leaving, is fleeing rapidly. It says, "And those that look out the windows be darkened," because the prospect of what the projection of where Babylon is headed, is another total economic collapse, another Great Depression. It says, "And the doors shall be shut in the streets," people being, kicked out of their homes, and most importantly, they're losing their jobs. So the doors are being shut, the businesses. It says when the sound of grinding is low. And that's the point I want to harp on, because that's what this article is really about. The sound of grinding is low. It says, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. So the Israelites, another name for, you Israelites, you are the daughters of music. So now all the mirth in the land is being taken away, systematically. So now we see that this place is falling, which is prophesied in the scriptures. So when you go to the book of Isaiah, let's go to the book of Isaiah real quick, 19. Isaiah 19, and I'll start at verse 14. Isaiah 19 and 14 says, the Lord Yahweh hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err. It says, in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. So Egypt is being caused to err, the scriptures say. So as you continue on, it says, Isaiah 19 and 14, the Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit. And that perverse spirit, when you look up that word perverse, it goes back to being contrary, contrary to accepted or expected standards of practice. It's a wrong spirit, irrational spirit, and illogical. It's a contradictory spirit. It's backward and inappropriate. So it says the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, hath mingled a perverse spirit, a backward spirit, irrational, illogical, unrighteous. So there's an unrighteous spirit, here in Babylon. And this spirit has been, pushed onto the rest of the world. That's why Babylon made all the nations mad, and made all the nations fornicate with her. So it says, the Most High have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err. And this Egypt is speaking about America. And I got a quick precept, because this is one of the many names that America is called by. It's also called by Egypt. So when you go to the book of Revelation, the 11th chapter, it's a precept showing that when it says it has caused Egypt to err, that ancient Egypt had already been destroyed. So it wasn't referring to that. It's referring to New Egypt, which is America. So Revelation 11 and 8 is a precept going into that. Revelation 11 and 8, and it reads, "In their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city," speaking of the nation of Israel being spiritually dead, pertaining to Proverbs 21 and 16. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. This is referring to Jake being spiritually dead here in Babylon. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which is another name of Babylon, the great city, or Babylon the Great, which spiritually, so Babylon the Great is spiritually, meaning it's in the spirit of, the scriptures tell us that there's a perverse spirit, but it's spiritually, it's called Sodom, because it's the land of Sodomites, or the LGBTQ community, in Egypt, because this is the place where the nation of Israel served in captivity together. The scriptures tell us, that Israel and Judah were oppressed together. It says where also our Lord was crucified, the image, the name, and his people, and the truth of the Holy Scriptures was crucified here. So this place is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, referring to America. So when we go back to the book of Isaiah 19 and 14, it says, "The Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt," which is America, "to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt." See, he's referring to America as Egypt again. Egypt, spiritual Sodom and Gomorrah, Babylon, because it's the land of confusion, which the head or the tail or the branch or the rush may do. So, the lack of grinding, lack of work is going to hit everybody. The top, the head, the tail, the bottom, the branch or the rush is also referring to all those who are connected to this place. So these retail stores being closed down by the boatloads is showing that America, or Babylon the Great, is falling. So I'm going to continue on with my next precept. This is in the book of 2nd Esdras, and I'll read a little bit of the article. So this is 2nd Esdras 15 and 11, and it reads, "But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before." So I'll read it again. This is 2nd Esdras 15 and 11. "But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt," speaking of America, "with plagues as before," showing you that ancient Egypt was already, destroyed. So it's referring to this new Egypt, the Egypt pertaining to Deuteronomy 28th chapter, that the nation of Israel will go into captivity under, which is America. It says, "And smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundations of it shall be smitten with the plagues and the punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it." And part of those plagues, going to being plagued, it also goes into being burdened. So part of those burdens is the economic system is falling. COVID-19 is causing a healthcare crisis, which is causing economic problems and, causing problems within the workforce and in every other system. So America, Babylon the Great, is being, internally destroyed. All the systems and foundations of it. That's why it says, in the plagues and punishments that the Most High shall bring upon it, the foundation of it shall be smitten. So the mere foundation of Babylon the Great is falling. So I'm going to get into the article and get a few more precepts. So it says, "The list of store closings is already very long and may be much more by the end of the year. The coronavirus pandemic has left many companies in horrible shape, and some have had to declare bankruptcy while others have closed some of their units. Many employers have not been recalled to work." So now the many employers not being recalled to work is becoming another big part, of the problem that we're seeing, because as these places are starting back up, as far as, with their, workforces being called back, after the everything got rephased back out from phase 1 to 2 to 3, and the numbers going back up. Now you're seeing a lot more people are not being called back to work. So it says, many employers have not been recalled to work as the pandemic has raged on, and there has been a paucity of customers since they are scared they might contact the virus. So that's slowing down, the economic flow and the business, because people are not actually, coming out and shopping as frequent as they would normally, especially through the summer months, which is the time when people tend to shop the most, because the days are longer and the weather is good, and etc. It says, "Debt is now the common enemy." So this debt, this thick clay that Babylon is in, has become the major enemy. I did a video yesterday about how, the mark of the beast is being pushed through a coin shortage, showing you that they're starting to weaponize the money. It says, "Debt is now the common enemy. Every retailer who has had high debt before all of this started is closing some stores and cutting back on new projects." So you're not seeing more stores opening up as you would normally see. So businesses, major retailers, are not expanding. They're contracting. It says, at a time like this, the ability to raise cash and to maintain a semblance of free cash flow is quite difficult, even as it is invaluable and enviable for most retailers. Many have had to rely on borrowing more to sustain their businesses. It has left their future uncertain. We are witnessing a retail apocalypse. So we're in the beginning, of a retail apocalypse. So you're not going to see these retail stores around much longer because many of them are going out of business. And on this list, I have a list of names of companies that are going out of businesses that they're not going to reopen. It says it began in 2010 when brick and mortar stores started to close, and it's only gotten worse over time. It says, I am listing below 13,262 stores that will close this year. The figure is most certainly going to rise by the end of the year. And it says it has surpassed 2019 levels of 9,879. So almost 10,000 stores were closed in 2019. And now this year, 13,000 plus, close to 15,000 potentially are going to be closed. It says, and in 2018, 5,700. So 5,700 was in 2018, 9,800 was in 2019, and already over 13,000 is in 2020. So it says retailers are shrinking their physical presence because more of their businesses is now taking place online. Today, many retailers achieve 35% or more of their sales through increasingly more sophisticated e-commerce via their websites. So these are some of the names of the major stores that's closing and the actual numbers. So I have that here, and those numbers, and there's a few major stores. Just to put this in context, a few of those major stores is GNC. It's closing 1,200 stores and going bankrupt. J. Crew, 152 stores. JCPenney, 150 stores. New York and Company, 378 stores. Pier 1, 936 stores. And these are major retailers. Sears, 51. Steinmart, 250. AC Moore, 145. AT&T, 250. Now AT&T is been able to stave off actual bankruptcy, but not Steinmart and Sears, not JCPenney and GNC. Many of these other stores have not been able to. So it says Bed Bath & Beyond, 200 stores, they're closing. Children's Place, 200 stores. GameStop, 320. Guess, 100. Macy's, 125. And these are the stores you will see in these malls. So these malls closing means a lot of these stores, are going to close because the malls are closing. Going on, it says Microsoft, 77. Nordstrom, 16. Office Depot, 90. Signet Jewelers, which consists of Kay and Jared, it's a conglomerate, 232 stores. Starbucks, 400. And it says for Starbucks, 400 stores will be over the next 18 months. They're already projected out. Walgreens, 100 stores. Wilson's Leather, also 99 stores. So, once again, 6 out of every 10 people have or will work in the retail industry because it's typically a place where, a lot of people in the up-and-coming workforce, high schoolers going in college, and those who may not even be, college educated, go into this workforce. And it accounts for 1/3 of the economy. So what does that mean? Well, we already got 2nd Esdras that told us that, the Most High was going to smite Egypt with plagues as before. So we're seeing that Babylon the Great, is falling. It's falling. It's become the habitation, the scriptures say, of devils and every foul spirit. So Babylon is falling. And Babylon is falling because Babylon has been the epicenter of, perverseness and wickedness on the planet. So I'm going to go with my next precept to the book of Revelation. Let's go Revelation. Let me find it. Here it is. Revelation 18. And I'll start at 1, and it reads, "And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory." And this is verse 2. "And he cried with a mighty voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her." That's Babylon, being the power structure of the earth and making all the other nations do business with it, which is the international commerce and capitalism today, the system that Babylon has created. It says, "And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues." So these are the plagues. So this is the time when the elect are coming out of Babylon because they don't want to be partakers of the plagues. And those plagues is going to be thermonuclear destruction. But before that, it's going to be, the time of Jacob's trouble, when the economy crash and straight chaos will ensue on the streets of Babylon and many places around the world. Verse 5, Revelation 18:5, "For her sins, the sins of Babylon, have reached unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities." That's why Babylon is being recompensed, because the scriptures tell you in Jeremiah 50:51 that Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand. So the Most High has remembered all the wickedness of this place. So let's put that into perspective. Let's go to the book of Isaiah 47. So this is the book of Isaiah 47:1. It says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon," speaking of America, because once again it's referring to this Babylon as, the daughter of the other Babylon, the ancient Babylon, which is what? This is the land of confusion. Babal means confusion. So it says, "Come down and sit in the dust," which is symbolic of confusion, O virgin daughter of Babylon. America's been referred to now, as we see, the great city, Mystery Babylon the Great, referred to as Babylon, spiritual Egypt, and Sodom, because it takes on the spirit of all these places. It says, "Sit on the ground, there is no throne," which is showing you that this is, the fall of America, being the throne of his power. 2 Ezra 6:9, "Esau being the end of the world. O daughter of the Chaldees, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate." America is not known as that beautiful, shining city on the hill no more. So what does that mean? Well, let's continue on a little bit more. It says, Salakia, verse 2, "Take the millstones and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, and pass over the rivers." Pertaining to 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, Babylon is being exposed. The man of sin is being revealed. "Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man." This is speaking of Yahushua. So that this is the vengeance of the Lord's temple. Verse 4, "As for our Redeemer, the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit thou silent and get into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms." Babylon is no more being called the Lady of Kingdoms. I got a quick precept just going into that. So this is the reason why Babylon is not being called the Lady of Kingdoms anymore. This is the book of Nahum 3 and 4, because it's being revealed into the earth that, Babylon, is the nation that was prophesied that was going to be destroyed by the Most High because of its wickedness and because of all of the evil that it's done and how it deceived the earth, deceived the world. So I'm going to go to the book of Nahum real quick, 3 and 4, and it reads, because of the multitude of whoredoms, so that's the fornication, of the well-favored harlot, because Babylon is known as that when you go to Revelation in the 17th chapter. You know, it talks about how that Babylon was decked in, crimson and purple, and it was full of, all these things that to the eye would look and appear to be beautiful. Pearls and diamonds and rubies, etc. It says the mistress of witchcraft. See, because Babylon is the mistress of witchcraft. There's nothing but witchcraft in here in Babylon, which is trickery and deception, lies, deceit, that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts. The scriptures tell you they covet fields and take them by violence, just like they took America and all the other places where they went. So this is how they sell families through their witchcrafts. It says, behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. So when you go back here to the book of Isaiah, this is showing the nations being, the shame of Babylon being shown to the nations. This is the show of that. So back in the book of Isaiah 47, just want to get that quick precept. It says, sit thou, Isaiah 47:5, sit thou silent and get into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms. That's why Babylon is not being called or being, being seen as the Lady of Kingdoms, because you have that statue, the Statue of Liberty, and the creed of the American creed of all nations can come and heap unto Babylon. All those that are yearning to be free. Now, people are seeing Babylon, is the opposite of what it professes to be. It says, I was wroth with my people. I had polluted mine inheritance. That's the Most High taking the nation of Israel through these different captivities and giving them into thine hand. He gave us into the hand of Babylon, which is America. Thou didst show them no mercy. And that was hardcore slavery of all the tribes, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. And thou saidest, I should be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst thou remember the latter end. So Babylon didn't consider what would come of all of the wickedness that they have done, all of the unrighteousness, to the nation of Israel. And in general, therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that saith in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me, and that's the pride of Esau. I shall sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. Verse 9, but these two things shall come to thee in a moment. So this is the moment and the time when this is going to come. See, Babylon's going to be destroyed in 1 hour, the Bible tells us. In one day, the loss of children and widowhood, and they shall come upon thee in the perfection of the multitude of thy sorceries, and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. That's the wickedness. That's the witchcraft. Verse 10, for thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Esau, the so-called white man, has trusted in wickedness. And the scriptures tell you that the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. See, Esau believes that he's going to get away with what he's doing. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. Once again, the scriptures spoke about how this is a perverse land. And so the people here are perverted because of Esau, the nations. That's why they've gone mad. And thou hast said in thine heart, I am and none else beside me. So I just wanted to get into a few of these precepts, just showing you that Babylon, is being revealed to the nations, as the mistress of witchcraft. So once again, we see these retail stores falling, and this is just a prelude, to the destruction of Babylon, which Jacob's trouble is going to ensue as more, more of these stores and more of the people continue to get evicted out of their homes. Crime is going up. Violent crimes is going up in the top, cities in America. So as this continues, we're just pushing toward the time of Jacob's trouble, which is prophesied in the Bible, and the time of the mark of the beast, when the economy totally collapsed. So these are the times that we're in. So, this is the time to be coming back to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, as the scriptures have said, to draw near unto the Most High, and fear Him, and come back to serving Him in hopes of salvation. I believe that's Isaiah 55. Close it out. I think it's Isaiah 55 and let's see. Isaiah 55 and verse 6. Seek ye the Lord Yahweh while He may be found. Call ye upon Him while He is near. So we're supposed to be seeking the Most High in this time, Verse 7. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return unto the Lord Yahweh, and He will have mercy upon him, and to our power, for He will abundantly pardon. He's going to abundantly pardon the sins of the elect. So we're supposed to be seeking the Lord while He may be found, because these signs are the doors of mercy is closing. So with that, I hope that was edifying to the hopeful elect. Call Allah Yimla, Allah Hayanawa Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua. All praises to our power, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and of Jacob, and of the 12 tribes, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You comprise the 12 tribes of Israel. You are the chosen people of the Most High Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who have labored faithfully in His truth and are the true teachers of Israel today. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Habayath Madawada. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the brothers that's laboring on the four corners of earth, that make their calling of election sure day in and day out. And to the listeners, the brothers and sisters that listen and believe on Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, the Akim and Akwathium, to you I say shalom as well.